it's time to do an unboxing video for this giant box, which contains a pair of shoes that I'm gonna be selling for somebody on eBay. Now, just to like give you perspective on the size of this box, right over here is a normal box that I would use to wrap and ship a pair of shoes in. But I told the owner of this pair of shoes to please wrap them up very, very carefully, because what we have inside of here is one of the most temperamental pairs of Nikes that I know of. It's also one of my favorite pairs of shoes ever, and the first pair of Nikes that I ever fell in love with as a kid. So you'll have to bear with me while I break into this giant box. There we go. Some of you may know what you're looking at right here. We've got a pair of Nike Air Pressures from 1989. These shoes are owned by somebody that had this pair of kicks back in the day when they were 11 years old. And he told me that he wore the shoes for about a month, and then they've sat around in his closet for more than 25 years. And he asked me if I would get this pair of shoes, clean them up, and sell them on eBay for him. And I was just thrilled at the opportunity. I mean, honestly, this is the pair of shoes that I fell in love with as a kid. I was 12 years old in 1989 when these pumps came out, and they were literally the coolest things on the face of the earth. Like, if you showed up to school with a pair of pumps, people thought, wow, like, man, you're like the coolest kid in school. Now, pumps originally were introduced in 1989 by Reebok, but then shortly thereafter, Nike copied the technology and they issued the Air Pressure, which we have right here in this case. And the Air Pressure was followed with the Air Command Force the next year, and then the Air Force 180 pump the year after that. The Air Pressure that we have right here, the OG, is my favorite of them all. Now, actually, we've got this almost like dog bone shaped foam, and this is supposed to fit on the bottom right here. The shoes come with a pump. The pump still works. Ooh, terrible. Here's a bag of bits and pieces. The heel of the Air Pressure is known to deteriorate over time. Like, there's really nothing you can do to prevent the deterioration. Once we get the shoes out, we'll be able to see it. This strap actually goes on the box. So like, you could have gone to school with this strapped over your shoulder, using this as the strap. Like, ridiculous. Seriously ridiculous. If you had this pair of shoes in elementary school or high school, or really any time back in 1989, you were the shit. So I asked the owner to really wrap these with care, because the shoes are so sensitive. Like, they can't touch each other. So you'll see that each shoe in here is bubble wrapped, and there's foam, which is great. I told him, dude, take your time when you wrap this. Like, even if it takes you an extra couple days, just to make sure that the shoes don't touch each other and that they don't knock up against each other or knock against the inside of the box. So here's one of them. And then here is the other one. He did a great job of wrapping. Seriously, like, as good as he could have possibly done. And I'm sure that the shoes showed up in the same condition as when he shipped them out to me, which is great. So let's get in here. Gotta be super careful, guys. Remember, these shoes, like, you breathe on them wrong and they start to crumble. What I'll probably end up doing is shrink wrapping them. Not because the shrink wrap actually prevents the deterioration, but it will hold the shoes together. Like, without the shrink wrap holding the upper together, the shoe's just gonna continue to crumble and fall apart. So once I get these open and check them out, we'll do the shrink wrapping thing. here they are. Oh boy. Original everything. Original laces, the ankle strap. Ooh, there's the cracked back part of the shoe. There we go. They definitely look pretty well worn at a first glance. You can see that the toe right here has a lot of creasing. When we look around the back right here, you can see that the foam part around the back is like just barely holding itself up. And like I said, there's really nothing that you can do to prevent this cracking and chipping and deterioration. And it's actually one of the reasons why I've decided to sell the ShoeZeum, is I can't hold on to this stuff forever until it completely falls apart. Let's check out the other pair of shoes. The other shoe, rather. I don't know why I always say that. Like, I'll call the left shoe and the right shoe a pair of shoes, but we all know they're just single shoes. Just habit, I guess. Very carefully get into here. You gotta just be real careful around that heel back there. It really is such a shame that, you know, you can put this in your closet, not even look at it for 25 years, and then break them out and have a look, and this is what happens. Real gently back here around the heel, real gently. Oof. You can see right there, again, that cracking. You can even see cracking down here on the midsole, and the midsole is almost like wet. A shoe like this needs to be shrink wrapped and put on a shelf to display. Like, you could never, ever, ever put this pair of shoes on your feet. They would crumble and crack and fall apart right away. Interestingly, back in the day, Mark Jackson and a number of other NBA players wore the Air Pressures in the NBA. You can see right there, like, this little piece just fell off of the shoe. So there we go. Vintage, original, 1989 Nike Air Pressures. The first Nike pump that's ever come out. These are size 11, I believe. Let's have a look in here and see. Gosh, it's like one of those things where you just don't even want to like touch the shoe. I'm gonna have a look. I believe they're size 11. It's really hard to tell, but I'm sure they're a size 11. That's what the owner told me, so you'll have to take my word for it. Anyway, there you have it, size 11 Nike Air Pressures. These will hit eBay very, very soon. Good luck. Hopefully you can add these to your collection and put them on display somewhere. They're really an incredible conversation piece, and the first pair of Nikes that I absolutely fell in love with as a kid.